While tourists often overlook the Baltic coast in favor of southern Germany's mountains, the city of Lübeck sits just 50 minutes from Hamburg, wrapped in a history that contradicts its sleepy, picturesque exterior. The city's entrance is the Holstentor Gate, a late Gothic landmark defined by two massive conical towers and a distinct stepped brick facade. In the Middle Ages, this quiet island functioned as a ruthless commercial empire, the headquarters of a trade confederation that dictated the economy of Northern Europe for centuries. Alongside that legacy of high-stakes trade, Lübeck remains the undisputed world capital of a highly protected luxury pastry craft. Understanding this region requires navigating the tension between these two worlds, the cold logic of a medieval merchant monopoly and the exact sugar-to-almond ratios of a global industry. This map shows the geographical extent of the Hanseatic League, Europe's most powerful medieval trading alliance. Lübeck was the choke point of the entire system. By controlling the salt supply, the city's merchants secured a monopoly that funded their rise to power. This wealth built the city's brick Gothic signature. Because the region lacked natural stone, builders used local clay to create elaborate facades, like the town hall, using dark glazing and circular patterns to project commercial strength. But the grand facades hide a different reality. Tucked behind the merchant mansions are narrow, arched passageways leading away from the public streets. These tunnels open into secret courtyards known as Buden. Because Lübeck is an island with strictly limited space, these labyrinthine micro-neighborhoods were built to house the massive force of laborers and traders that actually kept the Hanseatic engine running. The merchants displayed their status on the main avenues, but the labor force remained invisible, squeezed into the cramped spaces right behind their walls. Today, the sensory experience of the city shifts from the damp stone of those alleys to the aroma of roasted nuts at Café Niederegger. A 15th-century legend claims Marzipan was invented here during a famine, when the city supposedly ran out of everything except almonds and sugar. In reality, Hanseatic trade routes brought these expensive ingredients from the east, turning marzipan into an elite status symbol that eventually required strict legal protection. To qualify for the Lübeck Marzipan label, the confection must contain no more than 30% added sugar, with 70% raw almond paste. The Niederegger family pushed this further, using a 100% raw mixture with zero added sugar. This extreme approach to craftsmanship is the focus of the city's Marzipan Museum, where culinary history is treated with the same weight as political history. The museum features life-size sculptures of the city's intellectual elite, like Nobel laureate Thomas Mann, sculpted entirely from the confection. Lübeck's merchant culture transformed a basic mixture of nuts and sugar into a strictly regulated, world-renowned luxury asset. The physical remains of this wealth are visible along the Trave River at the salt warehouses, massive structures that once stored the city's primary currency. This skyline was nearly lost. In 1942, devastating bombing rates reduced much of the medieval center to skeletal ruins and rubble. While much was rebuilt, the city chose to leave some evidence of the destruction. Inside St. Mary's Church, the massive bronze bells that fell during the raid remain on the floor, exactly where they landed. These shattered bells serve as a permanent counterweight to the city's fairy tale aesthetic, grounding its beauty in the reality of its survival. Lübeck survives as a place defined by these extremes, the ruthlessness of medieval trade and the precision of delicate sweets. It is a city that requires looking at both the grand gates and the broken bells to find the truth of the Baltic Queen.